No one likes to see the plants in our homes become weak and withered. Even though we might tend to them regularly, we still might see signs our plants are drying out. At The Daily Eco, we explain why this happens and how you can prevent it in the future. Lack of irrigation. When a plant needs more water, we see its leaves turn brown or yellowish, thin and brittle. If the dryness is severe, you may lose entire stems, but in general, extensive submersion watering serves as a great means of reviving dry plants. Submerge the dry pot in water for about 10 minutes, then remove it to allow excess water to drain from the drainage holes. Overwatering. Excessive watering can cause various changes in the plant. Its leaves and stems are no longer dry and stiff, except for the tips, which can be dry and brittle. The general state of the rest of the plant is dark, soft and weak. You can easily tell by looking at the substrate of the plant, which may be dry on the top layer but has plenty of moisture underneath. Carefully poke it with a finger or toothpick and see if soil sticks to it. You will need to very carefully remove the plant from its pot and try to remove as much wet soil as possible without damaging the roots. Using pruning shears or a very sharp knife which has been previously sterilised, cut off any diseased or rotten parts of both the stems and roots. Repot the plant in a new container with a dry but rich substrate. Perlite and vermiculite are great products to prevent the recurrence of disease and reduce any risks. Above, we share a video in which we explain why the tips of plant leaves become dry. Bad location. It's very important to know the exact characteristics and needs of each plant species in order to find a suitable location for them. Usually, tropical plants prefer shady or semi-shady locations. If you place them in a location where they receive too much light, their leaves will burn and could dry out, even if the watering or ambient temperature is adequate. Likewise, a desert cactus is unlikely to thrive in shade or a dark indoor space, and it's only a matter of time before the plant perishes from stress or lack of energy. Before we proceed, let's put you to the test. What do you think is the main cause of houseplants dying? A. Watering too much. B. Watering too little. C. Lack of light. Think about your answer carefully. Check back at the end of the video to see if you're right. Bad temperature or environment. Some plants are very resistant to temperature changes, but others are much more sensitive. Plants from tropical or subtropical climates come from environments where the temperatures vary much less. They usually need a fairly narrow temperature range to develop properly. It's not usually necessary to keep your home at spring temperatures, but it's very likely a plant with these characteristics will not survive a cold winter on the balcony or a very hot summer in direct sunlight. It's important to find out what kind of care and temperature your plant needs and to provide a suitable location in your home. Heat sources or drafts. Depending on the species, a plant may need sources of heat or air currents, but others do not tolerate them. Some plants are very leafy and are susceptible to fungi that can weaken and dry them out if they don't get some ventilation. Look closely at the condition of the inner stems and try pruning to thin them out and promote aeration before placing them in the most well-ventilated areas possible. Others cannot tolerate drafts as they can cause them to lose too much moisture and even drop their flowers and leaves. In these cases, find a more sheltered location away from open windows or doors. Species that are most sensitive to a dry environment don't usually tolerate being near heat sources like radiators or air conditioners. If you see your plant has enough water but is losing its leaves and appears dry, you should probably look for a location farther away from the radiator. Returning to the question we asked you earlier, have you thought it through? The correct answer is A. All of the reasons listed can seriously harm a plant, but overwatering is by far the most common cause of plant death. If you want to continue learning about caring for plants, don't miss the playlist we share here. Has this helped you to understand why your plants are having trouble? Let us know by sharing a comment, and we'll see you next time.